Thank you. Please proceed.
It's not as much as you.
Helen, you have a list before you there.
Yes, I do.
I got, before you go into the visitors,
Have fun.
I surmise this young lady is a news reporter filling in for the Dunn County Record. I'd like her to introduce herself, and I offer her help and consideration for anything she might need.
I'm Karen Newhouse.
And so, welcome. She said Lisa that comes has got other duties and can't make it, so glad to see you. Recognition of visitors.
Jesse Boyer,
I'm nothing at this time.
Linda Gauss,
Nothing.
Bob Gauss, Nancy Valdez,
Not at this time, thank you.
Stanley.
Yeah, one for the police department. Do we run background checks for the Dunn County Fire Company?
Yeah, we do.
For,
Right. For background checks, for criminal histories and driver's histories and stuff, for their insurance company too, because they, you know, if they have a bad record, or if they have a suspended license, they can't drive the trucks.
thank you.
Bob Johnson.
Nothing at this time, thank you.
Okay, Scott Mosteller.
No.
Okay, Jody.
Not at this time.
Jean Hollenball.
Yield for now.
That's different.
Mr. Peters.
No, nothing at this time.
Craig.
Nothing specific, just thanks for your ongoing support with the residents of the township and the supervisor.
Okay, and then that's fire company. Have anything? Guess not.
Okay. Invoices and expenditures before you for approval or rejection.
I'll make a motion, the orders be drawn, the bills be paid.
Okay, motion made. I'll second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered. Treasurer's report.
Have that before you.
I guess there's nothing I see when I looked at today, Helen, to offer other than we have a CD to follow up with.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
I'd like to deal with the approval of the treasurer's report. I'll make a motion that we approve the treasurer's reports as such, subject to audit.
I'll second that.
Motion made with a second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Okay, we have one Park and Rec CD that's due for renewal on the 22nd of July. Marysville's at 2.2%, Landisburg's 0.15, and Mifflintown's 0.15. Members First doesn't do any CDs under 10,000. I recommend it stays at Mary's.
I was gonna say it is currently at Marysville.
Yeah,
I'll make a motion that it remain at Marysville for a 6-month period.
okay.
I'll second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Yeah, before you, the minutes of May 29th, I would also like to offer that there was an executive session held on, I find my little sticker here, on 6/11/13, for one we set in here, pension, to go over pension plan. And they were up from PSATs and wanted to sit down and talk to us and explain to us our options on uniform, non-uniform pension plan. So, that being said, I'm going to make note of it, that did take place. They have minutes before you, May 29, 2013, for approval or rejection. What is the wish of the board?
I had given Helen some corrections earlier, so I'll make a motion that the minutes be approved with the corrections.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made with second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered. Brings us up to the highway report. Good for half hour here, folks. I would like to, first off, like to know that we've made and fabricated grates and cemented the bottom and erected delineators at the culverts out on Faculty Road from our paving from last year. That was waiting for the weather to dry up, to dig up and finish that out there from last year. I would like to thank PennDOT out here. They gave us some grates out of their old, what you call that there? They're heavy-duty road construction grates. Some of those, they had to be cut. Fabricated because of the unusualness of the storm drains out there. And we were just waiting for it to dry up so that we could cement out there and get them done. So they gave them to them, we welded them together, we made them, they're out there, they look nice, and we concreted the drains going into those drains. And prior to that, those drains out there, due to the nature of power lines being alongside them and et cetera, nobody knew how to put a catch basin in there or didn't have the room to put a catch basin in there. So they just put storms in there and they just covered the storm drain over with valves. And they eventually filled up. When we started working on that road, when we went out there, everybody laughed and made fun of us. They called that Penn Township's only lake. And the water would fill up and run across the neighbor's yards. As a matter of fact, Tom and us and Steve was out there ready on a rainy day trying to find it. We never could find them until we got ready to repair the road and we dug them up. And of course, paved the road, and then finally winter come to us and we did not get them in, but nevertheless they were taken care of here at the beginning of June. We cleaned up a drainage swale in at Morning Dove Street. A real bad one in there, needed tended to for a long time. It's just so hard to get this many of these things because we got a big list of them. Cleaned a couple truckloads of drainage swales out there. We rolled in the modified. We tarred and chipped the shoulder down there and put it in there for a much needed area so it don't wash out anymore. And on the opposite side of the street, we have the same yet to do, and we will get to that just as soon as we see clear weather, not rain. We don't want to put modified in there and have it washed out before we can get it sealed up. We'll say one thing, the drainage swale had clogged up the pipe, and nobody could understand until we got in the honeysuckles and cleaned all the weeds back and got in there and cleaned it out. It seems that everybody in the development there, or someone in development that has a wood stove and coal stove, that's where they dump their ashes. And the whole thing that we dug it out of there, now open, now flowing, nobody knew it was there until we got around to it. It's one of those things that's been there. We made some road repairs on Cove Road. There was some minor cracking out there at the new bridge you put in. We sealed those up and got them to preserve that road. We trimmed the right-of-way and guardrails for the second time up around King Cora. That's a hand job to keep it neat up around there. And rainy weather like this, it grows back real quick. Trimmed the sight distance on Burley Road and trimmed the hedge. And we have people that put fences and et cetera up, and I guess it's what they want and what's been there for years. We can only get so close with the mower. So we were back brush trimming a large portion of that road back there. And mowing is ongoing on the roadsides in the Cove, should be completed this week, and mowing will continue next week in the Duncannon area. We'll be moving up here. No parking signs are erected at Petersburg Commons. Sign missing along End Road will be replaced. Stop sign on Kinzer Shear has been re-erected, it was down. And a lot of our steel culverts, as I'm out there mowing, I stop and take a look at each and every one of them. Our steel culverts from the salt is what I believe is doing it, is really taking a toll on all these culverts that's been in for years. So we're watching them as they go bad. We got a couple that will have to be done this year. We're taking them as a priority and getting them replaced because the whole bottoms are slowly but surely coming out. They're not a big stream producer. There's not water run through them all the time. The only thing I can think that really works on them is the salt that's on the road. We have that everywhere. There were watched closely and replaced as the condition, as their conditions deteriorate. Answered call on 54 Eisenhower regarding a tree, whether it's in our right of way. Answered calls on low limbs in Susquehanna Hill, which we dealt with. I answered a call down there for road cutting permit for the Susquehanna School to get their new water line across. And we met with PennDOT up here at a meeting on paving tie-ins and the slopes out here to make sure that we had no concerns on what all was going to be done. They had the meeting up here, and they're working around the weather trying to get this paved up here to get this open also up here. I have something else I want to bring to people's attention, and it is rather important, and it's something that I feel as a township we need to try to do our part. I recently picked up an article and read in the Lancaster County Farmer, and I just was totally unaware of this and looked around, and yes, folks, we do have a problem with this same thing here in Penn Township, quite heavy, once I knew where to look and where it's at. A little bit of trivia history, you know, I guess we all know what got Socrates, you know, poison hemlock. Greeks used to use it as a means of execution. And so in this article here, I was really amazed when I read it. They're talking about it's a highly poisonous herb and another one of those non-native plants. Okay, I'm not going to read the whole article here, but it's available here for anybody who wants it. The last several years, the hemlock, which grows swiftly up to 10 feet, has elbowed out much other unwanted foreign vegetation, etc. Okay. We see that poison hemlock everywhere and have a concern about it. Jeffrey Graybill, Penn State Extension, Lancaster's office. PennDOT crews here began spraying roadsides for poison hemlock, said agency spokesman Mike Cahonas. It's taken off. William Curran, a Penn State professor of weed science, just about everywhere between Lancaster and State College. If it becomes more common in hay or pasture fields, I think people will pay more attention, he said. I'm not sure if I've seen the tip of the iceberg. All parts of the poison hemlock are extremely poisonous to humans and livestock, especially the seeds. Causes blindness, causes death, real quick. I had Helen today after I saw that pull up on the internet, and there's a wealth of information on it here. Deaths have occurred from mistaking the roots for wild carrots. The blossoms on them look like wild carrots. People dig up wild carrots, whether they do it or not, it's in the hayfield, and eat them. They've eaten these roots, and they've died from it. Warns a broadside by the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. Okay. They may consider listing as a noxious weed, which would give us some regulatory authority to stop its spread. At the present time, they haven't done that. A poison hemlock distribution map by the USDA shows about half the counties in Pennsylvania being invaded by the plant. It was introduced in the United States ornamental plant. Hemlock is a biennial plant. Those towering plants seen now with white flowers are ready to spread their seeds and die. If you walk up to them and take a look at them real close, a single hemlock plant can produce more than 30,000 seeds. And I can show you just one after another down here in Penn Township that I never realized that they were here, but they're here. If you own any land, make sure you try to get rid of it. So as I've been running around with the mower since I've read this, I've seen it in farmers' fields. I can show it to you up and down 11 and 15. I can show it through your Purdy's. You can get down here and get down Valley Street right off the end here. It's immediately in the left. You come down the ramp 11 and 15 coming into Duncannon. The whole left of it in there is just full of it. It is everywhere. The thing of it is, my concern of it is, we're going to do our part in Penn Township to eradicate it. I give Tom and Steve, we take the pole saw, we don't touch it, we reach in, we saw it down, and stay away from it. Even the juice, by golly, can induce an awful lot of problems on you. But some kid that runs through it with a dog or a cat, or runs through it by chance and bends it over and breaks it and saps on them, the potential for death is there. So I would like to put before the board, and as I'm marking these down as I see them, and there's a lot of them, I would like to send a letter, a courtesy letter out to the landowners with I see them with a copy of this article for them to read, and you can pick it up on also on the internet. I just never realized the volume of it we have until within the last week. And I'd like to do that, send the landowners, because some of the people I saw, I know they don't even know they have it. They don't know nothing about it. I would also like to ask this board for approval to send a letter to Mark Keller that he, as our representative, that he worked with getting this thing classified as a noxious weed so that we can get some help from the state from it and whatnot to eradicate it. It's nothing to be fooled with, and a person can get in and accidentally and get yourself in real bad shape, especially a little kid, never know the difference. The seeds are deadly. So I have that offer, I have that here before. I would like to ask the board for permission for Helen and I draft those letters and get them out. and to notify the residents of all cases. I mean, it is in just about every parcel of ground up along 11 and 15, and I never knew it was there until just, and the magnitude of it is tremendous, growing fast.
Henry,
Yes.
could you maybe somehow, with rubber gloves, collect a sample of it and have it here at the office so someone could see it, see what it actually looks like?
Yeah, I
You say
have.
hemlock. When you say hemlock, I'm thinking of a hemlock tree.
Well, yeah, and it tells you in here that it's not related to, in any way, shape, or form, to our hemlock tree. You know what I'm saying? It's not native to this country at all. I do have some pictures here. I'm gonna put some of these up out here on the bulletin board, okay? And I had a couple other good pictures of it here in green color, which I'll also hang up out here. I was just amazed when I saw how much of it's out there.
I don't know what it looks like, that's what I'm sure a lot
Yeah.
of people don't know.
Well, I have
Put a
Regine.
copy in the letter.
Yeah, and that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put a copy in every letter I send out.
Picture.
But also asking this young lady here, I was glad to see her. A nice blip of the DICAD record regarding this would be nice to make the residents aware. It is here. So I appreciate that, and I will have that out there and have some hung up on the bulletin board. I have another colored copy of it here somewhere. There's a whole big history of it that I got her to pull out. It is, death occurs within hours when you get it. And there is no antidote. That's the thing. The only thing you can do is introduce charcoal into your stomach or have your stomach and your bowel tract pumped out and hope they get it in time. So I never knew it was there and never knew how nasty it was.
I'll make a motion that we allow Henry to draft a letter that he and Helen can send out to the landowners addressing this problem, as well as to Mark Keller to get this listed as a noxious weed.
See if we can't do that.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. All those, motion made, second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye. Ayes have it.
And while I think it's laudable to suggest that we get an example of that for people to see in the township, I would not recommend that you do that, because of the fact that unless you have someone watching it the whole time, if someone would accidentally ingest it, I don't want to put the township in that position. Pictures, I don't have a problem with. I have a problem with pictures. I don't know that we want to have a live plant here.
Yeah, I was thinking of something sealed to,
Yeah.
you know, in a sealed bag or whatever.
No, I wouldn't even do that.
Okay, well, I just never realized as much of it out there, and I was mowing once I saw the pictures of it. And then I read that article and thought, this can't be, and I looked at it. So as we're going around the road crews, we're knocking it down, letting it lay. But even forage, if it's dried, and people pick it up, and the farmers pick it up, put it in their bales, cows eat it, they're gone.
So you're telling me when I go home tonight, if I have little carrots on my plate, I shouldn't eat it?
Yeah, well, if you see strange seeds in your salad, I would stay away from it.
With my wife standing there with a knife and fork saying, here, honey.
So, in regards to that, I have the poison hemlock there. That's why I'm still underneath the highway report here. And I also received a letter, and I do respond to all these things. I received a letter in the mail, which came in last Thursday, was received and stamped by us on June the 20th. Lists of pictures. And these pictures, and the reason why I'm going to respond to it is at the bottom of it, there was no return address on the envelope, and it says, "Sincerely, Penn Township Residents, Faculty Road. We are somewhat confident that these matters will be addressed and action taken at the next Penn Township Board of Supervisors meeting on June 26, 2013. We will be listening to hear what is being done, and hopefully you are listening too." And what what this letter is about, and anybody's welcome to see it. We, the residents of the lower end of Faculty Road, you know, and it goes on and on and on. First four pictures show a home where the road was raised higher than the walkway. If you take a look at that picture that shows where the road was raised above the walkway, you see part of the old road still there that was higher than the walkway. That condition has existed, and when the road was being paved, I talked to those people out there. They have a hedge right tight against the edge of the road, which they didn't want to see removed. And the only way to put a swale in there to get it out of there is to remove that hedge, and that's definitely on our right-of-way. So we worked around that, but the home being back in off of the road lower, there is no place for the water to go but down across their yard and down across, etc. And it refers to, as you can see the pictures, leaf stuff washing off the road onto the walkway. And I've been out to the Hirschbergers to talk to them, but I was out last night, didn't get anybody at the door, but I will eventually change them down, because at the beginning of the month in June when I was out there, they were out and talked to me, nobody said nothing. They were very congenial. Matter of fact, they told Steve there was a black snake down there in the pipe where he's working and he wouldn't get near the thing. And so they come out and we talked about this, you know. Property damage being done to culvert, being washed out, not only washing out the property, but causing potential damage to the new road. I'd like to make everybody sure, nothing was washed out. We dug that out with the backhoe because nobody could find those culverts. We dug them out. And those pictures there that you see in regards to that, we dug them out. So there was no erosion, there was no washouts out there. What was there before was, as I stated, they rolled ballast in over top of them because nobody put a grate in, nobody could get a catch basin in, there's people's bank there, there's people's walnut trees there, and etc. And of course, till we got that done last year and whatnot, I did not get back out there to do what I wanted to finish. But on the first week of June, we went out there and they are corrected. There's delineators put up there, there's heavy grates over them, and the bottom are cemented, and the water's going down. As a matter of fact, the one neighbor over there was so happy that we were going to do something with that we extended the pipe in his yard, filled it in with topsoil, raked it out, and seeded it. And he thanked us to death for that, for the problem that we got rid of at the lake out there. So I did refer to Mr. Pickles. It says concern number 3, drivers are driving at very high speeds up and down the road. Well, so I relay that, put them again. It is alarming when we hear that no parking and other signs have been approved to be ordered and being placed, and mailbox areas being filled and paved to make easy access for postal drivers to get in and out of mailboxes along roads. When we have asked last year for our concerns to be looked at and taken care of with no avail. Well, that tells me that this conversation that took place at last month's meeting came out. This letter was typed on June the 19th, received on the 20th, and that problem was all healed up and taken care of out there on the 1st of June. If you look in the back of the pictures, you can see that they came from Walmart, and the dates on them were the 15th and 5/22. So these pictures were taken clear back in May, evidently in the individual's hands at our last month's meeting, and nothing said. And because I mentioned that we're working on mailboxes and fixing things up, this gets sent in. So I can't imagine that someone didn't go out to take a look from the beginning of June till now, till they mailed this on the 20th, because this has been done for 3 weeks. Yet this still got mailed in. Walmart, order number 18679. These letters were sent out, these pictures were sent in here with that letter, not signed by anybody and no returned address. If somebody wanted to talk to anybody about it, hey, we get accused of not being transparent. They could have come in here and I'd be glad to go out and talk to anybody about it, because I had talked to all those residents and talked to every one of them out there when we were putting these in and doing this at the beginning of June. So Tom, Steve, and I was out there in the first week of June, unknowns to anything like this, and of course we have no signatures, so we don't know where it came from. But the date of the pictures being processed and the letter coming in, time this letter received in this office, that project was done for over 3 weeks. That's all I have to offer on that. Anybody has any problems with anything out here in the road, give me a call, give me a help. I answer them every week. A lot of them. Someone calls, I go out. I'm there. So I got that. I do have some other ones that I'll be taking a look at tomorrow on request for people to come out and look at things. We are very, very busy trying to play catch up and get an awful lot of repair done on the roads for years, and we got our hands full with it with a 3-man crew. And the weather, we work around it the best we can, but we're always busy. So that's all I have underneath the highway report. I thank you for that. And please, anybody can help with this thing with the hemlock, I appreciate it, because it is something that I'd hate to see one kid lose their life over something that don't know what it is. Get in there and get wet in their hands, rub their eyes. You really got a problem. So all that information is here, Gene. You're welcome to pick one up and take it with you, and we're gonna put some up out here. And I'm going to make sure that that gets in on, with our minutes. And if we can bring it to people's attentions out there, maybe we can work on getting it eradicated in Penn Township.
One thing I would like to add, you said about seeing what the flower looks like. With the wild carrots, the top of them is like the Queen Anne's lace. It's a weed, but you often would pick it and put it in a bouquet of flowers. I know we've taken it, putting it in some, we've put it in some colored water to make the white flower change color. It works nice in a floral bouquet, and it does look very similar to Queen Anne's lace. So if you're out picking wildflowers, do not pick it, because it's so similar, you're not sure if you have Queen Anne's lace or if you actually have this poison hemlock.
Once you see it, you'll know what it looks like. It really stands out. Okay, that being said,
I don't pick Queen Anne lace.
okay. That concludes the highway report. Penn Township Planning Commission, Helen?
There's just one letter from the Planning Commission asking a couple questions in regards to the Warden property. There's probably more towards Rich than you guys. They want to know what the exposure to liability is if the plan is approved with the 3-foot deep ditches along the roadways. And what can the Planning Commission and the supervisors do to protect the township if the plan is approved as it is under current design?
And Rich, I'll let you answer that quick.
Well, a couple things. First of all, with the right kind of agreement, you can waive, or you can have the developer release the township of any liability because they're not asking us to take over any of this. On the practical side of it, if it's serious enough, we can ask them to put guardrails in. Or not approve the plan if it's that serious. But a lot of it, I would rely on the engineer's comments.
Okay.
So
And
the
I had
engineers should
talked,
take a real hard look at it.
I had talked to Max today about it, you know, and he does have some comments on it, and incidentally, he called me today and said, we have a very light agenda. Henry said, you want me there or don't you? And I left it up to him. I said, well, Max, you know, it's a light agenda. I said I would offer those comments. He does have comments for him, and they'll pick it back up on Rich's comments at the next planning commission meeting. So Max had a very light agenda and will not be here tonight. Okay, those two items, Helen, comprehensive plan,
You have
we
it.
received it.
You received it today. I would recommend you tabling it
Yeah.
so you guys can have a chance to look at it.
Okay.
But the next step is a public hearing.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we table till next month and we set a date for a public hearing at that time, once satisfied.
I'll second that.
Motion made with second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye. Ayes have it. Zoning report before you.
Not too much on it. He just went out and reviewed a couple things and questions, permits, met with the school about their new water line, and that's pretty much it.
Okay. Sewer enforcement officer report.
He just did an inspection and sent a letter regarding a malfunction.
Okay. Penn Township Park and Rec Board reports before you. Nobody here representing them? that I know
No, she's not here. She has given you a quote for, which one? This is a high netting fence along the municipal building road to stop balls from going over and hitting houses. Oh, where is that? I thought, should have been a price on that.
Yeah, down the bottom.
Okay, there, $14.36. And in the report on the back page, she's talking about the band, the gospel band's coming up. She also is getting quotes on a new soda machine and a cabinet for downstairs.
And she has a request there for us to reroute the steep bank out there. We took care of that for her just on a rainy day.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's taken care of. thank her for the report that she has there. That being all, Park and Rec, Penn Township Municipal Authority.
The community block grant came in on June 21st. I immediately gave it to the authority, and I believe I put their response into your boxes.
Okay?
They submitted something.
Yes. Submitted the application June the 20th.
We have our secretary's report.
Oh, I am up now. Okay. Act 44 compliance. This is procedures to, if we ever wanted to change our pension management people. And right now, we have PSATs.
Okay, we had taken a look before that table that looked over it, Helen. I make a motion that we adopt the resolution that's before us.
I'll second that.
Motion made and second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye. Ayes have it, so ordered.
Okay. You have a packet of applications for the treasurer's position. I'm asking you to look at them, let me know who you want to interview and when.
Okay?
And the same with the request for proposals for uniform construction code inspections. We received 3 of them. Again, look at them. Tell me who you want to talk to. And a date.
Okay, we have them in our hands, Helen.
You have them in your
Take
hand.
action on them next month.
Okay? And that's
Set
all.
a date for those at that time.
Okay.
Engineers report, Max is not here. He didn't have anything in particular.
That's what I didn't give them. I didn't give
Right
you.
there, zoning revision, no change. Comprehensive plan, no change.
I'll put it in your box.
And the business campus traffic signal, they reviewed the email correspondence from William Cameron Pinoni along with the traffic signal, et cetera. No change. So he didn't have much on his agenda tonight, and I said I didn't see anything on our agenda that brought up that we'd have to have comments from our engineer, so Max said, well, I'm gonna take a night off. So we appreciate that. Solicitor's report. Oh, police report. Excuse me.
Oh, that's-
The activity report is in your packet there. We did purchase a chip reader for pets. We do have that, and all the officers have been trained on it. So if we do locate if you do find any animals,
Question that
we
Nancy
can
Bell
check and see if they have a
asked
chip
at the
first
last
before we
meeting
do
was the
anything else.
status of what?
There's
The
also some
status of
chip implant fees that are really inexpensive, and they're various through the Humane Society, so if anybody does want to get that taken care of, have them contact the Humane Society. We had a couple of residents out in the cove that left their residence unsecured when they left the house for a couple hours, and people did enter and take some items out of it, so just make sure you lock your doors when you leave, and be on the lookout too. I
Was it
mean,
last month?
keep an eye on other people's property.
It was last month?
Everybody knows everybody,
Yeah, what was
so
that?
if you see some strange vehicles, by all means,
That
give us a
injunction,
call.
that was the name of the party.
Even if you see people
Oh,
just
that was
sitting
for
around, or
Penn
sitting
Waste.
alongside the road, let us know. We'll be more than happy to
The
go
one
out.
that's probably still at the court.
Find out who they are and get their name and everything, and if anything turns up, we have somebody to go talk to or find out what's going on. We also contacted a cat spay neuter. There's a grant that we're looking into to get to have the feral cats. They pick them up a couple times a month, spay and neuter them, bring them back out and release them.
Oh, there it is.
It eventually does
Mid-Penn Scrap Resources.
deplete the population instead of having them keep growing and growing and growing. So we're going to do that in conjunction with Penn Township and the borough. The borough has a large problem also, so we're going to be looking into that. That's about it.
Okay, concludes the police report, solicitor report.
There's nothing under my report, but I do want to respond to a question that was asked at the last meeting. I think Nancy asked it, the status of the Penn waste matter. We have prepared and filed an injunction against them, and it's been served. And I apologize because I should know the number of days left before they have to answer, but it's been filed and served, and they have a time frame within which to answer that has not yet expired. That's it.
Okay. Richard, I don't know whether there's anything else going to come up under old business or whatnot. You may, would you mind giving us another 10 minutes here? Sure. Permit reports before you? Nothing there?
nothing.
Okay, correspondence, CDBJ application and everything else is on the correspondence there, Helen.
Yeah.
Uh,
The cap tax one, I made that phone call, but I couldn't get a human to find out which tax they're talking about.
Okay,
So I suggest we table that until I,
okay. Run that by Rich on that. Helen.
not yet.
Okay, okay.
What if I don't get a human?
Well, I was glad to make a motion to table that, because when I read it today, I was unsure as to what they were
Yes,
referring to, okay?
which tax it was.
Second the motion.
Okay, motion made second, all those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Yeah.
Ayes have it, so ordered.
They just see
Okay, other correspondence, PennDOT letter, scour plan of action
Henry.
before you. And the Hats Municipal Transportation Problem Inquiry, they're taking care of that, and we have cap
What
tax.
did you say you tried to call? What issue?
The Linton
Cap
Hill
tax
Bridge
wants
out here,
to,
you know, are there any other projects you'd like to take some plans? So, let's take a look at that, there's correspondence, and we will respond to those particular items.
Question, Ron.
Yes,
The block grant, what are you going after?
that's the municipal authority,
Oh, that's municipal.
municipal authority
Everybody
lead,
knows about that.
okay?
What it is?
They did
What you guys
receive,
want to do.
Yeah.
Under the statute, you can do both. You can charge the resident.
If I may add, I think they submitted an
My
application.
suggestion
Yeah,
is find out what you're
Right,
talking
yes,
about.
that's what I had said in my report.
Yeah.
Well,
It was
which tax are
submitted
they
on
talking
the
about? Is it the
20th.
they
EIT or
submitted it
the
already,
LST?
Lee.
Oh, they
Or
did?
the
Yeah,
income
they
tax?
did, yes.
Or the
And what
local
was the-
services?
Probably the LST.
Okay, probably LST.
Call them.
Yeah, that's what I was doing, I just didn't get an answer. Okay, where are we?
Well, it's a 3-page application,
Oh.
letter going with it, describing what all they want it for.
I'm just curious, general,
Water lines, fire flow, drinking water, Sunshine Hill,
needed.
yeah, all very necessary things. We've got some water lines that are in really bad repair. That's, help with the new water system up on Sunshine Hill, that's the biggest help we're looking for.
Okay. One other thing, Henry, and I'm sorry I was late and I missed your highway report. You know, with the bridges coming in down here at the end of Duncannon, when do they plan on doing that? Did they have a meeting or something recently?
Yes, we had a meeting on that. We were at that meeting, and in that discussion at that meeting, we had route planning and whatnot, which they were gonna get back to us, and they were talking about lining Gambers Road out here for us and et cetera. But they said it could start as early as January in the end of the year, but they would like to do it after the school buses. Now, I don't know what it means it could start. I can't imagine them starting that thing in the middle of the winter, you know what I'm saying? But they have a big urgency, Lee, they explained. The bridge is really in bad shape.
We can see it move.
Yeah, and so they're gonna get on it, and as soon as they notify us, we'll notify everybody else in regards to it and what the routing's gonna be, but they had a meeting where they were very cooperative as far as making repairs on the township roads and what all they were gonna do for us, and that's it.
So that
So,
was my next question.
Yeah, we'll
You know,
see.
with Creek Road, that's probably gonna be their access, that needs a lot of work.
and, yeah, they got a couple different detour plans planned for it. You know what I'm saying? They, some of it, you know, is gonna start clear out as far as Paradise to go out that way, to go out to catch 849 to get around. And you'll be able to come in to Duncannon and go up the ramp. And that's their main detour. They're not, everybody's gonna come in 274. They're either gonna go down 11 and 15. What they're not gonna have, they're not gonna have that shortcut through Duncannon across the Clarks Ferry Bridge. So what they showed was pretty reasonable. You just got a couple extra miles to run up around and get down 322. Or you're gonna get down 11 and 15 the same as you always did, just not going in through Duncannon.
Do they don't have Clark, or Creek Road set up as any type of detour or? it would be nice if they would fund some repairs out there to widen that before they start the bridge. I guess is my bottom line.
There's
whole
places
thing.
that
Oh,
you're
yeah.
gonna be on people's front porch.
Yeah, and what they're talking about, most of that comes off of Penn Township into the borough there. Once you get in there past the overpass, that goes into Duncannon Borough, that's gonna be the narrow part of the streets. And they did discuss that, they did look at that, making it one way, not let the parking on the side to get it wide enough for the emergency vehicles and stuff through there. We stopped and took a look at every road, they stopped and took a look going out across top and getting down in that way to get them, how much you want to do. So I can assure you that they looked at every possible detour around to try to manage this traffic, and the decision is yet to be made 100%. They had their priorities, am I not correct?
That's correct, yeah, the main detour has to be on state roads anyway.
Yeah.
So that's why they went out and around. Now, Creek Road's gonna be local traffic, obviously, that's going down into the borough and stuff, but it's not gonna be used for through traffic, you know.
They're gonna put a sign up out there supposedly for local traffic. And then if the state puts it up, then we can enforce it. Is what they're,
Okay, I
yeah.
just didn't know if
So-
there was any money out there to help repair that.
well,
road
they
somehow.
offered an awful lot of,
Yeah, there's money and there's money in a kitty, I guess, if anything starts to get damaged during the process, they can repair it right away, and they videotaped everything too, the way it sits now. And then they'll look at it afterwards, and if there's any repairs to be made, they'll do those too. They are gonna run a line, they're gonna put a center line down Gamber's Corner. They're gonna put some delineator markers on some of the corners and stuff too, and stuff, since it will increase traffic and stuff.
Okay, thank you.
they offered more than what I thought I would hear,
Yeah, they did.
believe it or not.
They were pretty friendly,
Yeah, they really did, they offered a lot more. Okay, that takes care of the police report, solicitor's report, permit report, correspondence, old business.
I have, the cable franchise.
Okay. Yes, we did attend this thing up here with the cable franchise. It was very, very interesting. And when I got there, I saw that our county up there, Reseda Call, has invested in that, and Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs and et cetera. And it was interesting as to what they had to offer there. And I just feel that what we've had here in the past and what they offered and where other municipalities get off of it, it's no different than the cell tower sitting in my farm. I always felt that there should be something out there that should come back to the township off of that when you put it in here for the services of all people. And now you find out, yes, there's wireless contracts, all this and that, et cetera. They're in the process of putting fiber optics in there. I'm in discussion with them before I do anything with them, before I allow them to do it down at my place and et cetera. If there's any tax revenue or anything that should come off of that, come back to the township, it needs to come back to here. And so in the past, we've had a contract which is now expired, and at the present time, we notified Blue Ridge Cable. We didn't hear anything from them. I had Helen send them a registered letter yesterday. Today we got a response real quick. And so they would like to sit down and see what we had to offer. They were hoping that we had to contact the attorney, I believe, and et cetera. But these people here were very informative about it. And they're gonna have another one of these meetings up at State College, and there was a lot of county people there that took a look at this. A lot of unknowns here. And so I would like to allow, since Cliff and him discovered this thing, but we didn't have it on the internet, we don't have the free internet service. There's an awful lot of services that this township has passed by and finances over the years. So that contract has now expired, and I would think it would behoove us to sit down and talk with them to see what they want to offer. If not, at that point, I would recommend that you turn it over to a law firm, either Ms. Solicitor Wagner or to this people that do this for a living. They had a very, very informative program. And it seems like we're the only people around that don't have it. A lot of other people didn't even know it existed. I have one good friend up here that has a cell tower in his place, I know him well, said he signed it for them to do whatever they want because he figured to keep the tower there. But if there's revenue to come off of my tower, and they don't wanna do it that way, then they can take it down. And of course, they're gonna let it sit there, but pay the revenue in my mind before they'll take it down, because it's expensive to tear down a 280-foot tower for what they may have to give up. So I need to talk to Solicitor Wagner and ask him to think about it. I would like to give Cliff and them the okay to see what Blue Ridge has to offer us down here, and bring that information back that we keep moving along that line. If you're losing $25,000, $30,000 a year like other municipalities are getting, I feel it should be in our coffers. Any opinions, Mr. Solicitor?
Certainly, yeah. Well, this is an ongoing issue, not unique most recently or even with the advent of the new mechanisms of communication. But the bottom line has always been, where are the costs coming from? And typically the costs come from the consumer, which are township residents. So in the past, there's always been that balancing between, do we put it in the township general fund, knowing full well that that cost that the communication network is going to charge to pay you is going to get passed on to consumers. And that's the debate that we had this debate 10, 12, 15 years ago, and it's everywhere. Every municipality has the same debate. Do you want to pass it on to your consumer, your residents? And that's what happens.
And those questions were asked up there, you know, as to what those additional costs may be, you know what I'm saying? And that is the issue there. But in most cases up there, from what they said, you know, it's a minuscule amount if they negotiate it, that's passed on. Now, whatever that minuscule amount might be.
Well, it's pretty easy to figure. If you're making $30,000 a year and you have 300 customers, what the cost is going to be for those 300 customers, an increase. They're not suddenly going to reach into their coffers and say, oh, here you go, thank you. They're going to pass it on. And that's okay to do that. But that's the balancing that you have to do as representatives of your community, whether it's in the best interest of the township to have a fee given to you by these communication companies, knowing that most, if not all, is going to get passed on to consumers, or do you say, no, we're not going to do that, we'll continue to keep the $300 a year that we've been charging?
And that's, now, I don't know exactly how it's gonna work on the wireless thing down there, but they have wireless franchises too, which were set up here with no ordinance, no nothing to put them in place. We have 3 cell towers in the township, you know what I'm saying? And at the present time right now, I'm gonna tell you, I got them held up down there because I won't sign.
But those are the issues you have to look into.
Yeah, and that's on fiber optics down there for them to come in, because what they did, they don't have a right of way. They come in there and run the line where they shouldn't have, and at the present time, they're trying to get that squared away. But CenturyLink has come along, Rich, and said that they can't even hang them on PP&L's poles, any other lines or nothing, cable TV lines. And every time the cable company does an upgrade, you gotta stop and think that when we were back negotiating this originally, we had a couple channels on. Now they've upgraded that. They've increased their cost over these years. They've upgraded their system. They put internet on it. Every time a cable TV company does something like that, you're entitled to a proportion of that advancement. I guess you're well aware of that. But it was amazing to me that it's out there, and yet it's kind of like so quiet that it's out there.
And you'll recall, this has been debated, that the idea is, do you want to charge the fee, which you have the right to do? It's in the Second Class Township Code. The question is, what is the provider then going to do in order to generate the money that's being paid to the township in the form of a fee?
Yeah.
And I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to know it's going to get passed on to the consumer. And maybe that's okay, because then the consumer who is using it is paying their fair share and you're getting your fair share.
And I
Well,
guess
also in the contracts too would be the upgrade. You actually force them to upgrade the systems for the citizens too, that they get better service.
Yeah.
For what
yeah, you have that option that you can make the upgrades there. Yeah, Stanley.
But you gotta remember too, it's not like the cable company's the only people out there.
Yeah,
They raise your rates $10. All you have to do is say, I'm gonna go to Dish. So they can't raise that whole $10 either. You know, I mean, they're gonna need some of that.
yeah. So,
It's not like they don't have competition. They didn't have competition 15 years ago. There wasn't a dish hanging on every house back then either.
so
I mean, I understand what you're saying, Rich. I mean, somebody's gonna pay for it.
I mean, and I don't,
But
this is, I don't wanna be
believe
smart by
the
saying it.
whole
We run into, if the cost of your wholesale produce goes up, you don't eat it, you pass it on to the consumer.
We're in
That's-
retail, believe me.
Exactly.
Believe me, we eat a lot of it.
Oh, wait a second, wait a minute.
I'm glad you brought up though about, I mean, you protected your butt, because I was gonna say to Henry, why didn't you know this years ago that this was out there? Because you're sitting there, I'm thinking, what are we paying you for?
Well, no, we've
So-
talked
Okay,
about this.
I
Yeah,
noticed
it's been
you were
discussed.
backed up in there, that was good, I enjoyed that.
well, I guess what happened, Stanley, you didn't know it was here. A lot of things happen when you're out of office for 13 years. This all took place, you come back in, you have a full-time job just going back of everything that was put in place. You hope that the secretary, and you hope that the other supervisors have that knowledge that you bring it up. So when it did
That was
come up,
before me.
I
I
would,
was 15 years old.
Yeah.
oh yeah, I know, paying it too much. Well, when it comes up, you're really for surprised, and then they had this seminar. So I would like to ask the board that we continue on, that we sit down with Blue Ridge. They came to us today, okay? And they would like us to sit down and talk to them before we even engage in any legal activities with attorney or with any firm. And I would like to ask the board if I have the privilege to sit in like I did with him, with Pickles and Cliff and them. I mean, we should be getting free internet for our whole system in this building here. We're the only one ground that don't get that. And so we need to try to provide what all we're supposed to have. And we were, just one of those things that needs a good hard look taken at.
So you're offering to?
I would like to see what Blue Ridge, they called today, they made the offer to us, please, let's sit down before you engage any attorney. That was one of the first questions. Have you engaged the legal counsel yet? No, but we're thinking about it.
Well,
We'd like to talk to
I
you.
think this contract, I believe the contract that's expiring was
July
15 years ago.
No, it was supposedly expired July 1st.
No, expired,
No.
but it was
Yeah,
it was
right.
entered into 15 years
Entered
ago.
into,
You're right.
So roll back 15 years,
Years.
and you're talking in the late 90s, and then consider the debate that was going on at that point
Yeah.
in time. And this board, at that juncture, decided they were not going to pass the cost along to the consumer, their residents, so they voted to adopt a 15-year contract, a minimal amount of fee. Now it's up, that's why you're getting inundated.
Yeah, it was pretty fledgling at that time.
Well,
You know, when it was
the balancing was that it was not so much fledgling, but the idea was the cost was gonna get passed on to the consumer, and the township economic situation was then and is now very strong, and so the thought was, let's not cause our residents to have to bite the bullet on that.
Oh, yeah, I guess when I take a look at it now, for a short period of time in my life, I did have cable TV in the old farmhouse and I lived there. And I bought the basic for X amount of dollars. And they come along and said, you got 3 more channels, your cost just went up. I didn't ask for it, I didn't have it. If I wanted the basic, it was either accept the cost and 3 or 4 more channels and pay for it. So all those years that they've done that, they've made out well, because we've settled for $300 a year. So it's worth taking a look at.
I move that the
Thank
board
you.
authorize Henry to represent the township in negotiations with the cable company.
I'll second that.
Okay.
In that conversation,
Motion made, second. All those in favor give their consent saying aye.
Aye.
Thank
No.
you.
in that conversation with Rich's conversation, basically, the passing on to consumer, I guess you have to ask Blue Ridge, what is the volume of consumers? Because you have the township citizenry, basically, not every one of them have Blue Ridge cable. So it's gonna only be the ones that have the cable, they're gonna get the cost. So what is the volume compared to the payback? And I think that's a factor you need to ask Blue Ridge.
And also if they line item that to us who pay, because there is a thing on the Blue Ridge bill that says Penn Township
Franchise.
franchising. Is that a line item fee, or is that goes to you, or is that, because that's on the bill? I mean, are they gonna say, oh, you're a Penn Township resident, that's
Well, that's-
$10 extra?
At this meeting also, they suggested that they do an audit too, to find out if we were actually getting what we were supposed to be getting for all that time too. And they do, and it's only on, I think it's 3% on basic cable. There's 21 different items that can be charged on that too. They can be spread out over several, 20, I think 20 some items on the cable that a fee could be attached to. Nothing was attached to anything but the basic, that's it, 3% in the basic. You go up to 5% on 21 different items, so it's a whole gambit of stuff. New things are coming in, they're actually putting these, I don't know if you've seen the small little fiberglass antennas too. They're just running them down right of ways and stuff like that. Without a wireless ordinance, they can just do it.
They're
And-
doing it, we're
and they're
losing
not-
the money.
They don't have to pay anybody for it, they can just
Yep.
go ahead and run it,
So
and run it
you're
in your
saying-
neighborhoods.
You're saying then they've already been collecting
Yes,
from the subscribers, so they've
Yes.
been banking that money so they owe it.
possibly,
Oh,
possibly.
guy to my thoughts, Nancy, let's check it out.
I don't know if
Let
it's a
us check
line
it out.
item or, it does say on the bills,
Yeah.
something about Penn Township. And that was the only thing, it would be odd if you were,
Well, that's
if Henry's saying, we wanna raise $30,000 and there's 300 consumers, that's $100 per. Obviously, that doesn't make sense
Correct.
to hurt those citizens, but yeah, if they're gonna take that and spread that over other people, then, and you can get a revenue stream,
Correct.
that makes sense. I mean, certainly they're not gonna walk away from their cable investment that they made for a certain amount. I mean, that makes sense.
And a lot of the companies too, like CenturyLink doesn't have video yet over their lines, so, but as soon as they do put video over it, they would have to pay. Franchise,
My
fee for
personal
that,
thought,
too.
excuse me, my personal thought of it is, let's go take a look at it, see what we can find. Maybe too complex for us, because usually when you get in matters like eventually, you gotta put these guys on the payroll to get it settled, and I'm not willing to do anything ourselves, but I think that we can do a lot of the groundwork up front to see what's out there, and then make the decision by golly, put it in link. They'll write the ordinance, they'll do everything, Rich can do that or whatever, but there has to be an ordinance in it changed, and there has to be some work done. I just
Whatever
feel
you
we're
do-
losing some revenue.
Whatever you do, whatever information you get it in writing.
Right. Yeah.
Question, Henry,
Yes,
actually for Mr. Wagner. What do you see out of other townships? What are they?
So, some of the more rural municipalities do the same thing that we've been doing here. Some of the more inhabited areas closer to cities and towns, they charge the franchise fee.
And what's the franchise fee normally run then? Varies all over.
Varies
the
all
world.
over the place.
it varies, Lee, that was the thing, everything's variable according to certain things. I just think we need to pursue it.
But according to the people we've talked to, we are the lowest by far.
Yeah,
In fact,
they
say
couldn't
you
believe
don't-
what we
You don't
have.
get a fee, you don't
They
really.
said, what?
You can say you don't get a fee, because you don't, And most people in our size and everything are collecting $30,000 and $40,000 a year, not $300 a year.
Okay, got that underneath old business, new business, newsletter, Helen?
Yep, that time again. I'm looking for articles by the 1st of August.
Girls Duncan Softball League?
Yes, they are having a tournament this weekend and would like to put a porta-john out there from Friday to Monday.
Special event,
Yeah,
okay? Okay. They're not using the bathrooms that are out there?
they are, but because we're on top of the hill and the volume of use, it takes a while for the tanks to fill up. And people get impatient and stop them up.
Okay.
They do. I get the phone call.
They applied for permit to get it, Helen?
Not yet. He came in with a letter asking
Okay. For that one day or that special event?
for the Friday through Monday, yeah.
I make a motion that we allow them for that put them in there, give them, issue them a permit for that special event.
Okay.
Okay, motion made with the second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye. Ayes have it, so ordered. Okay, I'm trying to move on here, get Rich out of here.
And the last thing is we received a firework permit this afternoon. Yes.
Okay,
That's why that paperwork's there for you, Rick.
there was just a big article in PSAP's news magazine in regards to that, what the requirements are, bond issues, pickles, and an awful lot of other things out there. Aerial displays, if they're gonna have that, or like E-Beagle and PA, period. And so, we went and dug the other incident there that we had, or other application, and I told Helen, see that you guys get it, that you take a look at it and deal with it, because the police department in the past turned it down.
Yeah.
Your bond, 39, there was a bond required of $500. Now today, they recommend 1,000. Because, and then they have to have be competent, and et cetera. So you need to take a hard look at that in regards that it takes you guys' signature and you're okay to approve it.
Also, take a look at the Second Class Township Code. There's provision concerning regulation of fireworks. 4 subsections. Interestingly, 3 of the subsections require an ordinance to be in place. The 4th just says grant the permit subject to rules and regulations. Statutory Construction Act would suggest that since they didn't require an ordinance for the granting of a permit, and they did the other 3, that they purposely left it out. So be mindful of what's being requested versus that section of the Second Class Township.
And that's all I have.
That's all you have, Helen? Okay. And that being for the business, I make a motion to adjourn. Motion made with second. Those in favor, give their consent by saying aye. Ayes have it. Thanks for coming, folks.
Sweet 4th of July.